Now, this is bugged out what's going on with the game. All right, let's read the title here. Exclusive. Game loses house. Judge orders sale to pay off $7 million debt to Priscilla Rainey. Wow. Game has officially lost his multi-million-dollar Calabasas estate after a judge approved its sale to help cover the $7.13 million judgment awarded to Priscilla Rainey. Rainey sued the rapper in 2015 over an alleged SA during the filming of the VH1 reality show She's Got Game. The Game denied the allegations but failed to appear in court during the 2016 trial, leading to a default judgment. A default? Come on, Game. I vaguely remember some of this. The jury awarded her 1.13 million in compensation damages for the alleged assault and 6 million in punitive damages after he was accused of mocking the court by blowing off the trial entirely. So I guess they got a clip here going back to the She Got Game, and Priscilla, I assume, is one of these young ladies in the picture or in the video. I'm not gonna play it. The Los Angeles County Superior Court granted Rainey's request to sell the property on May 2nd, 2025, after years of legal wrangling and failed attempts by the Game to avoid payment. The rapper argued that the house was protected under California's homestead exemption, ruling that the property is legally owned by JTT Holdings LLC, not by the Game himself. According to the ruling, Game may have an equity interest in JTT Holdings, but that doesn't confer upon him an interest in the property. Rainey also successfully argued that JTT Holdings LLC was just a shell company created by the Game and his manager, Whack 100, to keep the residents out of his name and out of her reach. Rainey has aggressively pursued collection efforts in her $7 million judgment. She has seized his music royalties and targeted other assets tied to the Game's business and intellectual property. Okay. Zillow has the property listed at being worth approximately $4 million. If it sells at that price, the Game would still owe Rainey another $3 million. Here's the court documentation here. So I do remember some of this now that we see this. I definitely remember some of this. Here's what's bugged out. I also remember all of the little angles that Game and Whack 100 have been playing over the years, allegedly, to avoid this situation. I'm very, very sure, I'll still say allegedly, that was the collapse of him putting out music, this judgment. Because if he put out an album, for example, she was going to take all the royalties, or she was going to inherit all the money that was generated from dropping music. So Game was kind of pushed into like a semi-retirement, and if we go back and find a bunch of his interviews talking about why this is his last album that he's about to drop and there's no more music, etc. Of course, he was never saying that this was the reason, right? But there's a lot of interviews, pointing towards when he got this judgment against him, and then how he began to maneuver and stop doing certain things like putting out albums, right? Whack 100 has stuff talking about it, not directly, but like dancing around the topic as well online. This is years in the making, all of this type of stuff. Now, if you go back to the default judgment, I just want to say allegedly to all of this, you know what I'm saying? Is this my opinions of what I remember and what we're reading? To get a default judgment on something that is so serious is very irresponsible. Very irresponsible. People, you got court dates, show up or have your lawyer there. You don't have to show up to these days, especially with everything being remote. You don't have to show up to 90+% of your court dates on your own these days. I mean, if it's like a criminal trial, whatever, yeah, you're going to be sitting there in court. But I'm talking about this civil type of stuff, right? I just had a 3-year civil lawsuit, right? I didn't appear in one court the whole time. Your lawyers go for you. Your lawyers go and represent you. A default judgment on these type of accusations is wild, Game. And I fuck with Game. I really, really fuck with Game, man. He's one of the best West Coast. He's one of the best rappers of all time. Period. I don't even gotta do the West Coast thing. I really, really, really fuck with Game. I just hope he didn't look at this suit and say, some frivolous BS. I put her on and she, whatever happened between us was consensual. I'm just going to say, allegedly, I ain't showing up to this shit. And then the judge puts in a couple $1 million of a default judgment on you. That's people. We got to show up for our court dates. It's not worth, even if you are totally in the right. I know the feeling. If you feel you are totally in the right, the legal process is the legal process, people. You still got to walk through it. You still got to deal with it. You got to do your thing. You got to pay your attorneys. You got to show up for your dates. You got to handle your business. You can't go street with it and say, fuck you, I'm not popping out because you don't deserve. No, you can't do that. You can't do that. Your name, your social security number, and it could take years. You could create this JTT LLC, etc. You and your manager whack 100, and your property could be under that. Your cars could be under that. You could try to put out some other music under that. Allegedly, you could do all of that. But this woman is watching every single move that he makes. Her lawyer as well. And the lawyer may still even have a vested interest in the collection because maybe he's getting a percent. You never know the lawyer and the defendant's, not the defendant, the plaintiff's situation. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that every lawyer signs up pro bono, but you never know if it's a retainer situation, a paid all out situation, or I'm going to take this case on and then I'm going to go for a percentage of the winnings. You just never know. He might have just as much of a vested interest in collecting this money, and that both of them, the whole family, probably this millions of dollars on the table. Watch games every single move. Got a new song that dropped. I want to figure out what that's released through. What record label, what distribution company put that out. They're probably doing that. They're tracking him for years. This was, they said 2015. 2015 was the default judgment. Was that how long ago it was? Rainey sued the rapper in 2015. Okay, failed to appear to court during the 2016 trial. So let's say 2016, this was the judgment. You're talking about almost 10 years ago. She is on his heels, like, I need my money. And then she's watching him do things that she probably feels is improper, making money that he's supposed to be using to pay his debt that a judge awarded her for. And look, they stayed on that LLC. And you would think, like, the house is in my mama's name, the car's in my father's name, the album is just a bunch of features. Didn't they allude to Drake and Party doing an album like that because of the situation with Drake and UMG, right? It doesn't mean that you're just going to be totally shielded. These people are going to keep going to court and they're going to try to get a judge's ruling saying, like, no, they're just trying to hide this shit. They're just trying to tuck the money under the mattress. They're just trying to just cloak all of this stuff in this LLC. And then here goes the judge and says, all right, I agree with you. The Homestead Act ain't going to save you. Put the crib up. Damn. I really wish Game the best. I don't know what happened in that personal situation. I don't feel like going back and pulling up that paperwork. You know what I'm saying? You know, we don't condone any essay behavior, but to be fair, there's also a lot of essay accusations that are bullshit. So I'm not taking no position on Game and this woman and what happened to them back in 2015. I ain't taking no position on that. But I would say, Game, man, you can't, you gotta handle your bit. Allegedly, if that's what happened, like, you just Igdish. That's what the reports are saying. Just default judgment. You could never get a default judgment on me because anytime if I'm ever in a legal situation, I'm bringing me and mine. You know what I'm saying? Or anybody that's going to we're coming. Defense or offense, we coming. Default judgment. This woman spent 10 years and looks like she just ended up with his crib. Damn.